Yeah, hi, thanks everyone for coming. So I think you had some great food. I hope all of you had some chance, and we will take a break to get your plates back. I know you're also waiting for that, but I hope you hear me out what I have to say, and then hopefully that would be something interesting. So, who am I? So, I'm Alok, founder of FunnelStory. My family, my son is there. He's recording. He's also college going, so I asked him to give him some work. Um, so keeping them busy. My background is entirely from cybersecurity, and that is unique to start a company which is in the space of revenue, customer success, and mostly it comes from your own experience with what you are doing with security, but also about how we dealt with large amount of data and made sense in the smallest point of time so that you can take action on it, right? So this was the this was one of the products that we built almost 6, 7 years back. So think about one of the largest shoe company in US. They are very proud of their online brand. They have very good brands. They launch a shoe, and in less than 20 seconds online, bots take away all the new offer shoes, which they wanted to give to the fans. So the question they came up to us was, I'm getting almost millions of hits on my website in less than a second that you have to tell me it's a human or a bot. So somebody was talking about the challenges of so much variety of data, so much data, and you have to make sense pretty quickly. So when I went to my last job, one of the challenges in the last security company was when we started to work with uh, customer success products as well as your revenue products, how much time it took for the data to be pieced together to make sense. If that was a cybersecurity, you could have hacked all the banks and got all the money. It's just not acceptable. We just thought it was not acceptable to spend so much time. But what's the reason? So when you have a problem to solve, nobody else is solving, you go ahead and do it yourself, right? So this was the product that we built, took 10 million security events and figure out in simple English what's happening, right? So uh, I will talk about some of how this revenue architecture or revenue stack is being rewritten. But one of the things I wanted to talk about agentic AI, this is a new term, and we will use it in the slides. Think about in an example that we know best, which is autonomous cars. You think about L1, L2, L3, L4, multiple level of automation. So think about that in terms of what kind of things you should be able to do as you go up the curve. You should be able to configure things automatically. You should be able to have automated UI. UI component should be built. And I think Rishi was talking about that can you just get the UX? You should not be writing code. This is one of the biggest thing about product management. We had to think about all the use cases beforehand so that we give requirements to engineers on what our customers would like to see in the product. And that assumption has to go away. People should be able to say, this is what I want. The data should be able to create something for you. Autonomous UI, right? Then to assist what you do, I want this task to be done. That is an agentic automation that assists you, but not acts independently of you. I'm just putting a name, Felix, we call it internally. And then we get to Scarlett, fully autonomous. It can act independently. From a revenue perspective, from a sales perspective, AI sales engineer, AI BDRs, AI customer success engineers, there are lots of examples that are coming in. I will say AI data engineer. You don't want to go to a data engineer to ask for this custom report that you wanted, but only they have the access, right? So let's look at the current revenue stack. This revenue stack has not changed from last 10, 15 years. You collect data. There are a few changes. You have a data collection layer. A lot of us will use iTouch, Fivetran, Segment. A lot of you have spent time in building those things. You would know about it. And then, first of all, you have to spend time with your engineering teams to run a lot of engineering expensive cycles to get that data into some system that you want. The amount of diversity of data in revenue and sales is so much that that is a time and money you have to spend internally. Then you will have another point is creating knowledge. The data itself is not knowledge. Somebody has to represent what that data means to your company. And that itself is a two-way job. Your company has to tell what, and then the HubSpot, Salesforce, and all kind of consultants will come in, and then they will build a model that is very custom to you, so that you both two parties understand, and both have the jobs for lifetime. If somebody needs something, you have to go back, and they will do that thing. So they are gatekeepers now, which means this everything has been thought from a very custom lens, very specific to your organization, how to collect data, how to interpret. So the value that you're getting is limited. You get health scores that only you can configure to the variables that have been exposed to you. You can get the dashboard that have been configured to you. Ask for anything. You have to go to a cycle of engineering, which will go up down the chain to just get anything. A lot of customer success guys will say, I don't want to even deal with the bureaucracy. I will rather not talk. And that's a fear we have seen talking to a lot of people. And some people basically split it apart. They will say, I will build my own model. And we have some people in the room. Now, if I go double click into data problems, you have a problem, and I'm just breaking it down. If you look at this, you have to instrument the entire code to get data. Why? I don't know. Historical data problem. How do I, if I do the instrumentation today, I'd get the data from that day onwards. What happened to all the work that company has done over years? How do you get the unstructured data? Of course, we are seeing Gen AI, but that was a problem for a long time. Then how do you, the company never stops. It will keep creating new knowledge. How does your data model keeps on updating itself? Is that engineering work you have to do? Every time new feature release, how do you get that knowledge? Every time somebody new tools comes in, how do you get that knowledge? Then a custom knowledge problem. Your knowledge is to your company. Every time somebody has to build that. You're seeing that if I split the problem just in the data side, how many problems it's like in the current revenue stack? We think a lot about the top app layer, but it's the pipeline that has a problem, right? So now this is the data problem. But if we, I want to give you the good news. You can start thinking about the AI native data layer, how that will help you. So first of all, we have Gen AI based data collection that has been happening. Amelia talked about Chorus. We have Gong. You can collect the data. It can analyze the data. It can put into some structured format. Then one of the biggest reforms happening is, can I get a data engineer, AI data engineer, who can understand the structure by itself, create the knowledge by itself, and also understand what are the new sources of data coming in and keep on updating that knowledge. It's a big deal. For people who have spent that time, it's a months and months of work, right? So if you can do that, and that is possible because of the agentic architecture, because you are now saying, I have an AI data engineer who can do all this stuff. It can understand knowledge, it can understand your data, build the custom knowledge for your organization, and also start to interpret that, right? So that's informed. This is just an example that some of the models should be able to take data and automatically start to say how many accounts you have, how many users have, what kind of activities that you do. It's a big time save. It's a big efficiency gain and just a freedom. It democratizes data access to everyone. There are no bureaucracy involved in getting you that. So there's a number here, 60 to 1. So this was a conversation I had with somebody who said how much time you took. If you had to build your own, they said 60 days. And the number one is that after this agentic model, it took them 1 day. Manpower, human time, money gain is enormous. Then we talk about insights. If you have such a structured data, of course, you are going to get very limited insights. But if you open up that bureaucracy, if you blow up that entire data architecture, what are the benefits you can gain? You can now do customer journey discovery design. Now you have the data. You don't have to, there are a lot of values in understanding a subjective view, but the data should be able to tell you what a customer journey looks like, how people are engaging. At the heart of it is a simple time series problem. Process mining on time series has been happening in supply chain as well as finance world for a long, long time. It should be possible to do in customer success. It's our will. It's not the lack of technology, right? Then manual health score. I mean, I think to this audience, I don't need to explain. Everybody has experienced that. You should not be building those things. Forecasting problem, revenue forecasting, I think Jeff started with that. How do you predict what account is going to churn? Because you want to focus energy on that. You have, and this is one of the interesting things, because the revenue stack is so customized, you have one sales stack, you have one customer success stack, you have one CS ops, you have one revenue ops, you have one finance ops. All of them are using the same data, but because they have paid for the custom engineers to build that custom knowledge graph, each stack is different. There is no business for this stack to be separate. If the data can be commonly understood by an AI agent, which is not of anybody's bureaucracy, it should be able to interpret the different context. So back to your question, right? And coming back to the data engineer bottleneck problem, the custom analysis of anything, any custom report you get is based on how high are you in the hierarchy of the company. If you are the CEO, you will get all the reports. If you are a junior engineer, you can keep a line, you can create your Jira tickets, and after some time, somebody will answer you. Can you democratize access? Is it possible? The AI is not going to fight with you. He doesn't belong to any organization. So what can be done? So now the new stack is you have a knowledge graph, you have an AI data engineer. So that problem is taken care of. You have a knowledge graph. We talked about it. You now have a layer of cognition, which can interpret this data, which can help you answer the question that you're looking for. And then because you have agentic UX, which means you ask a question, I will create the UI for you. I will create the dashboard for you. You can pin it and you can keep working. So each of you, irrespective, it becomes a democratic word after all. Everybody has the same access, anytime, anywhere, anybody, right? There's a lot of things. But the biggest power, you have a single stack that serves customer success, revenue, sales, everybody. It's the same data. So not only you are taking out the bureaucracy, but you are also taking out the silos between the functions. It should be one stack. It should be a question. Agent should be able to answer it, understand in what context you ask the question, and it should be able to answer it, right? So I will, so what does it look like? Sorry, it went up, but. So this, if I take everything together, you now have an agentic data ingestion. You have an autonomous knowledge graph, you have a cognition, agentic app layer. So if you put agents from top to bottom, which allows now you to create a new revenue infrastructure for the ages. That is the true potential we are talking about. It's not we think about AI a lot from the top. Can it write an email? But it's the business process where the most of the effort, most of the bureaucracy is intertwined, that would be released. Right? That's the future we see actually at FunnelStory also, like we have been thinking about it. It's not like that we have done it, but we ask this question from the first principles, why? Why you have to do the thing that way that you have always thought about? So just give an example of this. So this is like the churn prediction we talked about in our product, but there is one section I want to focus on this area. This is an autonomous UX. It is not written with code. What it is doing is, when you talk about an account has a churn risk, it looks at the data, it looks at the prediction, and it automatically looks at your data to start figuring out what could be the reasons, what could be the color behind this prediction. It's an autonomous UX, it's an agentic UX. We were actually surprised by the power of it, that how much good it was, so that you don't have to spend time looking at the data. What does it mean? And 5 people will come with 5 different meanings, right? Amount of time spent, again, democratization of access. This is accessible to everybody from top to bottom, so everybody can make the best business decision at any point of time. Now, if you look at, for example, this has been a very popular thing, conversational chatbot. So think about the questions that are being asked. The questions are about simple queries. Can you tell me about an account access? Can you generate a CSV? A very simple thing. A lot of time we had to go to data engineers because we couldn't create from the product. You should be able to do that. There are revenue questions, there are meeting questions, there are conversation questions, all from the single point of view. So convergence of multiple functions into a single stack. Of course, we will talk about security in one of the sessions, because who should get what information, but that's a different issue. That's part of the stack. But the point is, there is a potential. So this is your assistant. This is not to take over you. This is basically to help you more productive. You ask the question, it does the task, it provides you the information, whatever you need. Right? Let it finish. Okay. The last one where I will finish with, this is what this is what I learned actually when I moved into, when you don't have good data, you have a swarm of CS engineers who basically his job is to just touch every customer every time. Let's say you have 10 playbooks. Each playbook has 15 steps. You have 100 customers. You suddenly created 15,000 CTS. You have 15,000 CTS, you hire 5 people to do that job. 80% of those is busy work. Customers never comes to the meetings. They are not going to pick up the call because they will do, not because of a playbook. They will do what they think is more optimum for them. But you created that work, right? But if from customer analysis, data analysis, and I always give the example of, let's say you are in London Metro, and you 20 years back, you wanted to go, let's say, to a train station, let's say West Ham, and you didn't have a mobile phone, you didn't have Google Maps. What do? You go to information booth and you ask them, hey, I want to go to that station. The London Metro network underground, to people who object to Metro, and London Underground or Tube, would have a lot of people on the platforms helping you, guiding you to the station that you want to go. They had a lot of people. They had a lot of information booth that will tell you, okay, you want to go there? Why don't you go to platform number 10, get onto that train, and then go to Chelsea, do the same thing again there, ask somebody. But if your data can tell you, and when Google Maps came, you don't do that. It just exactly tells you where to go. So what if in your data, looking at your product engagement journeys, the product can tell you that, hey, this is the most optimum route from you to go from A place to B. And these are the platforms where generally people ask for help. These are the platforms. So then the problem set is, who are at the platforms who are waiting for more than 10 minutes, who have not caught their next train? These are the people who need help. That's it. If people are on the right train, you don't need to bother them, right? If you can get to that analysis, you basically, it's just a calculation. I'm talking about the efficiency numbers here. If you now only 50 people need help, because these are the guys who are stuck on a platform for more than 10 minutes, they need help. They have only 5 questions to ask. What is the next train? When it will come? And there are only 5 or 10 ways you can answer those things. If you can get to that level of specificity, you can cut down the busy work. Everybody becomes efficient. Everybody wants to watch the next Netflix movie rather than taking this next call, right? So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to kind of keep it brief. I hope so. Any questions? Or did I convince you?